Hello and welcome everyone. This is Lavender Sky Panther. Today is Sunday, August 2nd, 2020, and today's topic is called Beaming Sun and Craft, and it includes a collection of images and sky observations happening between July 27th and the 31st, 2020. So before we get going, I'd like to say good day, osio, how, buongiorno, guten tag, kia ora, jambo, buenos dias, bonjour, ni hao, dzień dobry, konnichiwa, dobro huenia, annyeonghaseyo, boa tarde, dobry den, aloha winala, kalimera, and guten tag. So this first little starter image is just looking into a puddle. It's a sunrise happening on the morning of an approaching storm, which luckily did not hit direct where we were, so thank goodness. I hope anybody that might be in the path of the storm coming up, and actually for all of hurricane season, is protected and spared any damage whatsoever. So I'm just saying in general it's time to really reflect on what's happening lately in our skies. Please go out and look up on a daily basis if you're not doing so already. I'll let you read the details of why. I encourage that. But there's just so much going on to catch, and definitely snap a few pictures off on a camera phone or whatever you might have, and take a look at the photos after the fact, after you're out in the field observing, and you always see so much more popping up in those frames, and it gets real interesting. So happy sky watching, everybody. Alright, before we get into the new content, this is just reviving a photo from a slide from the last show, but improved. It's a little bit new and improved. So I'm saying Cloaking Craft and Cloud Revisited. So I had this object, and so now I'm saying, is it craft the shape? Is it A, B, or other? So A was just the original shape I showed in the last show. But the more I looked at this image after the fact, I'm like, you know what? No, I think this is part of a bigger object. This is just like a cloud ring, kind of. Maybe this is the nose of an object poking out, and then we've got like wings happening in the back, or other fins, or parts of this thing. So in the lower left, I just outlined what else could be happening, for clarity, more clarity, because this just may be a piece of a bigger animal. But see what you think. There's no right or wrong because we have no clear image to work with, but clear enough to do damage and see something happening. So whether it's just this piece or a bigger piece, I leave that up to you to decide. If it's a smaller piece, then these would be like standalone separate objects. But I do think they're all connected. Anyway, see what you think. Alright, now I'm going to zoom through, go through pretty fast on this sunrise sequence. Just for time's sake, I really want to keep this video shorter than the previous one. So anyway, let's go. On any of these, just feel free to, stop and pause and look at each frame on your own. But we'll have to keep going for now. So here's the sunrise, nothing much to write home about here. It's kind of just a neutral haze happening over the horizon with some really odd clouds. Then we get some red tinge hitting the tops of these, which was pretty interesting. And that red starts to morph into other colors right next to it. We'll look at that in a standalone slide in a minute. Then we get some warm color coming off this sunbeam or sky beam, whatever's going on. It gets pretty defined. And then it starts doing its own thing. So, it splinters off into more beams. Just a very odd display I haven't seen in quite a while. Then in come rolling not only this dark blanket cloud to conceal whatever evidence of a sunrise, or artificial or otherwise, that we're going to see. Then we start to get this layering of other types of, I'm going to say clouds in quotes, because some of these may be crafts, and we'll zoom in and see. You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. So anyway, just gets odd as we move along. Then it gets a little more golden, let's just say peach-like. Again, some very specific shapes starts to move in, and this starts to kind of fall apart and morph while there's still a heavy blanket of cloud in the background. So we're just going to follow along. This looks like very weird shapes happening here too, with this one sailing along. Then in this picture in the upper right, we get evidence of a red tinge and redness happening to the back of this sphere. So, here's like evidence of like whatever sun is trying to come up, or suns. And then we have a reddish color, so that's something we're going to pay attention to later in the show. But anyway, then it starts to turn really pale and white, which is odd, and then looking south, we just have these weird shaped clouds. Again, weird tufts and things, and cloud type and consistency starts to roll in. Things start to morph and change in a very strange way. Weird things are happening in here. And then again, it just gets really muted out, hazed out, grainy, and washed out. And this is like the ball of the sun, quote unquote. Again, I think that's the artificial white glaring sun with warmer sun original sun happening beyond, and we'll see more evidence of that in a minute. Okay, now this is one called Sunrise Craft with Red Sphere Beyond, and that's that, thing that I'm saying is a craft. These look like they might also be craft with the heavy gray blanket happening below, but then we've got this aura and tinge of red happening, and when I put the contrast, change the contrast and color, a few other things, that's what I mean when I say enhanced. I'll never be adding or taking out content of the photo, just maybe zooming in and changing things like color, brightness, contrast. That's what that means when I say enhanced. So anyway, I played around with the contrast and whatnot, and we see the effect of a red celestial body beyond is what I'm saying, because it's a very reddish warm tone when everything else is supposedly washed out and white or glaring. And now we'll look at that thing that I'm calling a cloaking craft. So at first glance in the previous photo, you might just say, oh, that's just weird, I don't know, remnants of some cloud moving along. But no, this thing holds its form as it moves across the entire, frame from right to left. Also, zoomed in down and contrast changed below, you can start to see structure with points, definite points, and shadow. Same thing here, shadow line beyond structure. And then you've got these really dark lines that don't fade away when I put the contrast on it, and high contrast and brightness. So here we go, looking up here where my cursor is. That's definitely something hanging out. So whether that's a little ship hanging onto a ship, or that's the edge of the ship itself, I don't know. But look at it, we got clear edges. We've got, again, that looks very well, here, I'll just show you to the right. This is kind of the shape I'm picking up out of it. There may even be a corner over there. I just truncated it for now. That's probably because cloud is beyond and the point is back there. But we have some type of box sitting on another type of box, if you will, or wedge-shaped thing. And then here I'm just showing that looks pointed to me. So again, is that some type of craft, sitting in front of this thing? Maybe, I don't know if that's attached to this craft. And then we've got weird like pole-like things, projecting out. I zoomed in on that. It even seemed to have like 3 holes to it. So is that a gun? Is that exhaust? Who knows? But it's structure. My point is this is engineered, intelligently designed craft, or you can call it object if you're more comfortable with that, but it's definitely something with structure happening in our sky. And cloaked in a way maybe we can't even understand. I don't know if that's plasma or water vapor or something else. It might be technology we're not familiar with, but, causing it to look like this. Okay, this is just a question, sunrise, objects, and clouds. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I don't know what this is. I'm really just posing this as the question. But it seems like this has definite structure to it and a very specific lighting happening behind it. So I have that up here in the top photo and actually again in the bottom one. And in the middle one, I'm just pointing, it looked like it had circular, shape to it, so geometric and symmetrical. And I have no idea what this is, but it just struck me that that's something happening in there. So again, have a look at this one on your own when you have time, see what you think. All right, here's another what is this question. So this is looking to the northeast. This is that very white glaring ball, which I still think is an artificial tech of some type. And all of this is just washing out and, giving us a fog out on what we can see beyond, including our natural sun and maybe a red body happening, just offshore from the Earth. But anyway, looking at this is not any typical cloud form any of us know. If you've been on this planet more than a couple decades, you know that's not a cloud form that just naturally happens. It's not even smoke from someone's barbecue, so what is it? And then I start to see something reflecting off of there. So I zoomed in. Yeah, I see something very discoidal on the top of that, reflecting, and maybe even sitting on a part of or sitting on a bigger object. So ran the little color enhancements and contrast enhancements and whatnot here. So, I still see that thing reflecting. Here it is again. And now I see like a larger oblique diamond shape. So I just drew what I think might be happening. This looks like a pyramid for now. It could be curved as well, but just gives you an idea that there's definitely object, or let's just say density or something three-dimensional, symmetrical, designed up in that cloud hiding. All right, now this one is just called Craft plus Red Effect and Horizon Clouds. So here we go. We've got a big blanket of dark gray, hiding where, again, the sun would be coming up. These are just a group of birds in flight. I did see that, so that's not craft. But anyway, I'm looking at this cloud, and then I'm seeing this, again, appearance of a reddish ball or sphere beyond some haze and veiling, okay? But what's interesting is the profile of this, not only that this is weird shapes that look like artificially created because they're regular, right? Fairly regular in the same shape. But look at this. They have a red effect at the tips, around here, rosy and red. But then look at this in the middle, it's peach and orangish. So why is that one different than these two? And actually, the more that I'm looking at it, maybe this whole thing is a profile of some craft, I don't know, cloaking in there. But what I zoomed in on was focusing on what I can tell you is, like, you see this tip where my cursor is, that's a triangle, and at least the top of something bigger even maybe. And this is a really, really dark area. So up in my upper photo here, look at this dark piece, and then that's a very distinct edge and tip of something. So again, I'm just saying craft is hiding in the clouds. Now what exactly that craft is, I don't know. Could be just objects of some other function or use, but for right now I'm just going to say craft hiding in clouds. Okay, this one, the upper left-hand corner, is the original photo. Just looked odd, something really odd going on with that middle cloud in the center, and also actually on the fringes, but we'll focus on this one for now. So again, look at that's very pointed. Something could be cloaking back in there. I'm just realizing it, and up here. But anyway, I was just looking at this. So, and what's going down here, going on down here. So in the upper right-hand corner, just ran some contrast on it. Oops, excuse me. But if you look actually back over at this one, look at this kind of smudge out effect down here. To me, that's definitely, it's hiding something. That's not rainfall. That's something cloaking. It's either water vapor or plasma or something showing up. And down here, this is a very linear object, dark. So again, I think that's a craft back there. And then something that caught my attention was this very bright white line, okay? When I look at it, it's a triangle, outlined of a triangle. Covered this in previous shows as well. Here it is over here in the upper right-hand corner. I'm calling these now cloud makers. They could be some type of sensor, or I don't know, surveillance, or generate something else. But I've been seeing them now consistently, and especially in the last few weeks, everywhere there's just a really bizarre cloud form, and also in proximity of some type of craft. I'm seeing this bright white, pure bright white outline of usually an equilateral triangle. And so again, I'm calling the cloud maker because more and more I'm just seeing clouds pop up really seemingly out of nowhere. And I don't think we're dealing with human tech anymore, or like military or even government interference with trying to obscure our views of the sunrise and sunset. I think we have a bigger force at hand helping to create clouds really on the spot. And that would make sense because we're getting this veiling out and clouds everywhere all over the world precisely when we want to see the sunrise and sunset. And there wouldn't be enough let's just say human force, hands on deck, to do that, to pull that kind of thing off. So I'm going to go out and just say it. I think it's extraterrestrial advanced tech floating around like everywhere in mass, able to help generate, the smoke and mirrors that we can't see what's going on. Why? What's the motive behind it? There are many possible reasons why, and very legitimate ones. I'm not going to cover them all now. I may touch on them later. But the point is, there's stuff floating around in the sky that wasn't there before, or at least we didn't see it before, but now we are. All right, here's another image in the upper left-hand corner, original photo. Weird beams happening. And then we've got these dark clouds. Why are they on an angle? I've asked that in a previous show too. Why are these on an angle? They should be horizontal if they're normal clouds, or straight up and down, or a combination, but not off angle like this. And then we've got some weird activity here and here. So I zoomed in. Upper right-hand corner, I did some contrast. Right away I see a craft because this is symmetrical. Got like two fins here, a little maybe like a pointed shape there. And so to me that is a craft like diving downward. So over here I outlined what I think could be happening. Again, it's hard to tell because these tufts of smoke are cloaking technique as best as I can tell. Then looking down in the photo, down in here, zooming in, here you go. Look at how we pick up the red tones, and then it's whiter bleached out here, and that is what my eye was somewhat perceiving. So here we go. When we manipulate the contrast and a few other things, we see that glaring glaring evidence that this is a warmer tone, and then this is white. So, and then this gets even golden down here. So I do believe our original sun is trying to rise back there, but over here, all this whiteness and blindingness is coming from artificial tech, or an artificial sun trying to blind that out. Anyway, all that to say, we've got an ellipse here, an oval, perfectly symmetrical, and we've got things popping up in here that are symmetrical. I show you over on the left-hand side of the sketch tools just the very primitive version, of where these things are popping up and why they're symmetrical and what I'm seeing. But feel free to have a look and see what you see in all of this. All right, now this is just called Strange Beams and Cloud Cover plus Red Effect. So again, like I was mentioning earlier, we start to see the red while this is staying white or peach. And these beams just are just strange. Like look at this burst. You can see it even in the original photo down here. Why is there like a darker, hole there and everything's so bright around it? What is that going on exactly with this picture? Again, have a look on when you have a little more time on your own. If you have any interesting angles or thoughts, let me know in the comments section below. All right, this one's called Strange Sun and Cloud Cover plus Craft. So the sun is extremely odd here. Look at it. It's blurred out, blinding white. These little things look like symmetrical things that could be craft coming along. Even this thing could be like an interdimensional craft. There's something down here too. We're going to see why I'm saying that in a minute in the next slides. But look at this. Look at this profile of this cloud and quote, activity. I'm at the point now where we used to get chemtrails everywhere, these distinct lines to mask out and veil out what's happening with the sun at sunrise and sunsets, and actually all day long and in the evenings. But now we're getting like some serious heavy-duty cloud forms, entire cloud formations, plus this heavy blanket. And this is happening all over the world. If you look at other sky watching and earth watching channels, you'll see people showing this evidence as well. So I think we're beyond, again, human technology here and chemtrails. I think we are stepping into, there's another kind of force, extraterrestrial or far advanced, interdimensional, whatever, that's being employed to do all of this, to completely veil out the sun at sunrise and sunset especially, and also during the day. And again, maybe because it is artificial and it's too blinding and hot, there's a definite change in how the sun is baking people, at least in my corner of the world. It's much more intense than it ever was. It's not the soft, gentle, golden sun of the past. So what is going on? What is this whole theater happening? I'm not sure, but I think we'll be getting to it sooner than later. What's going on? All right, so here's a zoom in on a similar photo from the one I just showed you, except this one has more of like a definite craft potential, so I zoomed in to see what's going on. Sure enough, we've got, look at this texture on this thing, and then we have things happening at the edges. So if you look down, there's more of the texture. I zoomed in, that's a definite object casting shadow. These look like pebbles also. So again, zoomed in even more. There's a triangular tent-like shape and a dome-like shape on the back of this thing, whatever it is. And again, we get more, texture happening back here where these quote-unquote pebble things are. Don't know what they are, but I know that this has shape and rigid design to it. Then I'm looking up at this little grouping here. If you look at the lower left where I have the green outline, that's just what I can see, okay? Just what I can readily say, hey, that's a wedge that's got dimension to it. That does too, like a diamond form at the top and an angle. This is a craft beyond it. So this whole thing, though, may expand and be part of a bigger craft, which I believe it is. This looks like a cloaking band, of cloak stuff happening around it. So this thing actually probably has a bow sitting about over here, and then it curves down toward the bottom. And this could even be, yeah, again, this is separate craft down here for sure. And if you're not comfortable with the term craft, you can call it object, but it is something that has structure and design to it that's not a natural cloud or any other thing happening in the sky. Okay, this is called Strange Sun, Cloud and Cloaking Craft. On the left-hand side, again, I've been seeing these triangular imprints, so I don't know if that's an actual craft there. It's definitely a triangle. Usually has the, tufted telltale tufts around it, shows something is arriving or departing or just showing up somehow interdimensionally. So once again, is this a red herring where it's like, oh, look at me, it's very obvious. Well, we're trying to, not let you see this bigger craft cloaking beyond or showing up. So to me, this has a pointed ellipse to it. I know it's a little hard to see, but here's the point, and there'd be a point up here in the curve. So if you think like a flattened lemon, that's what I'm seeing happening beyond here. And all of this, these like rib-like things, smoky ribs, to me that's electromagnetic waves or disturbance. And again, I think this is just kind of like a decoy while the real thing arriving or going, coming and going is here. Or maybe this is just some type of assistance ship or sensor or guide, I don't know what for this thing. Still haven't figured out what's going on with that relationship with these things, but maybe you have an idea. And again, we got weird stuff happening here, very, geometrical. That could be actually a whole thing, could be a craft. Also cloaking or about to, who knows. See what you think. Now here, the right-hand shot is just what we covered before, that could be craft and craft. And then just the oddity of this kind of cloud structure. I don't even know what that is. And again, the heavy dark blanket totally obscuring the horizon line, so we can't see what's going on with the sun as it goes down. Okay, this one is just more interesting clouds, let's just say. Strange clouds and cloaking activity. So to me, this looks like this thing, this darker thing, or maybe this brighter sphere just kind of dive bombed down toward the bottom of the screen. There's a lot of crazy, cloud activity that we're not familiar with in decades past happening here. See what you think is going on in there. The lower right-hand corner, there's a sphere type thing, but it looks like somebody just took like a muddy boot or a boot full of plaster and just stamped on it. There's weird activity and texture happening down in here too. Well, we have like pitch black lines happening along here also. So in the upper right hand corner, I changed some, enhanced it with a contrast and brightness and whatnot. And again, look at this clear structure you see, whatever pattern is going on there. So I haven't solved this one. Let me know what you think it is. I mean, I think it has to be some type of craft back there, beyond some of this stuff, but I'm not exactly sure how. Or is maybe there's just a little piece of it is the craft and the rest is like diversion, cloaking. I don't know. Let me know what you think, though, if you have any ideas on it. Or very creative, fun angles, even if it's not based on anything. All right, now this is wisps or air elementals, question mark. So again, we have this very wispy type of cloud that I haven't seen in decades past living on this planet until recently, until this year. But anyway, do go see a previous show. I talk about my thoughts on what this is, what it could be, in a little more depth in the show called Sky Marvels and Pink Air Elementals. Have a look there. But for now, I put high contrast and other things on it just to see if I could draw anything out happening in there. There really isn't, other than this notable really bright spot, so I'm not sure what that's about. But anyway, take this image, slide on your own time, see what you can find. And also, we've got these weird bands happening here too. It's just odd, overall odd. All right, now normally I like to close on a more in-depth note on nature with some details on it, but I didn't really have one this week. So I'll wrap it up with a photo of the week and say thank you for reflecting on things here a while. So this is just looking at an oak tree in a puddle. And yeah, that's it for now. So I wish you a beautiful rest of your weekend if you're still enjoying it. And if you're not, may it turn around for you right now and just enjoy what you've got for the right now. And I wish you all a beautiful week ahead. And just wishing you the best always in all areas of your life. Have a beautiful day or evening. Best wishes always. Lavender Sky Panther. Bye.